Well, let me not right or wrong. Look.
After the extreme MAGA right captured the Supreme Court. I agree they
A white
should.
nationalist is someone who believes that the white race is superior to other races.
Give me out your money! It's got the money!
Joe Biden, is he too old to run for president? A question no one has yet answered. Also, Chuck Schumer saying the MAGA extreme Supreme Court. We'll take a look at if that's a legitimate case. White nationalism, what is it? And are we getting confused with semantics? And a tough guy gets ignored at a nail salon while trying to rob it. All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for tuning in. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
One.
Here we go!
Might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually their name, Jobob.
Live from the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is 7-Eleven Day, July 7th, the year of our Lord 2023, the day that you can go to a 7-Eleven anywhere across the country and, I think, get a free, sugary, carbonated, frozen water. In other words, a Slurpee. So happy 7-Eleven Day. Wanted to get into some more interesting stuff today, probably quickly off the bat. We didn't hit any of this Fareed Zakaria interview on CNN, but we'll get to this really quick. And then there's some new legislation coming down the pike that I think we should definitely be talking about. Election integrity is on the table. Also, we'll get to this whole Tommy Tuberville thing. I think this idea of semantics is so much more important than I think I've ever given it credit to. But I want to start here with this clip from Fareed Zakaria interviewing Joe Biden over the weekend, asking him if he's too old. Now, just to set this up very, very quickly, the first, 20 seconds of this clip, you're going to roll your eyes further back in your head than you have probably ever rolled them in your life. However, considering how he asked the question that he was leading up to, I think I'm cool with it. Watch this and we'll discuss on the other side. Check it out.
You've often said when people ask you about your age, just watch me. And I think a lot of people do watch you and are impressed, and they think you've been a great president. You've brought the economy back. You've restored relations with the world. But many of these people do say, and these are ardent supporters of yours, the next thing he should do is step aside and let another generation of Democrats take the baton. Why are they wrong?
Well, let me not right or wrong. Look. To use the phrase again, I think we're at an inflection point. I think the world is changing, and I think there is one thing that comes with age if you've been honest about it your whole life, and that is some wisdom.
Yeah, I don't know if wisdom is the correct thing. I want to play that one clip again. Here's how he first answers it. And we all, for some reason, I even do this myself, a guy who does not agree with the policies of the president at the moment, I bypass the literal that he says at the beginning of everything. Watch this one more time.
Democrats take the baton. Why are they wrong?
Well, let me not right or wrong.
I don't even know what he's attempting to say. I think, well, actually, no, I lied. If I were to listen to that a couple times, which I have, I probably would say he was trying to say, well, it's not that they're wrong, it's that, but it came out as wrong. But and then he goes on to say he's got wisdom, which, I guess that's a decent argument. If you're not a decent argument, that's really the only argument you can make if you're in his position. But the president being mind-addled as he is, I don't know if that's the best argument for him to be making. Well, I have wisdom. There's a comment in here saying, is that an original Reagan-Bush 84 shirt? No, that election was run 45 years ago. This shirt did not survive that. I bought it on the internet because I think it's fun and kind of fake vintage. Anyways, So that's the president. He said some other things about China in this particular interview. You should go watch it. It's actually pretty interesting because, well, a lot of things that he says are interesting. And also, there were some things that he said that I agreed with, which is, probably, to be fair, should have played this, but, we're moving on. I wanted to move on to this because this is a fascinating story. I think it is one of the more important things. It is an example of how words change in order to manipulate emotions and feelings in order to secure votes in a lot of different ways. This whole idea of semantics being played in politics is not new, but it is new to a big faction of the population that has just started to pay attention. I want to play you this clip. And this is rather long. This is Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama and Caitlin Collins on CNN. Now, just the lead up to this is Tommy Tuberville did not vote to approve the advancement of I think like 250 new military personnel leadership. So I think as of like today, the Marines are without a central leader figure. Why is he doing that? Is Tommy Tuberville, the Republican from Alabama, against the military? No. He's doing it because the Pentagon, in the wake of the Roe versus Wade overturning, the United States Pentagon has a policy saying that they will fly employees and pay for the travel of a female employee who wants to get an abortion. Now, I don't agree with that policy, obviously. Is this the right stand to make for the senator from Alabama? I don't know, but that's just what is happening right now. Some people are like, yes, nothing should get in the way of ending this ridiculous policy of the Pentagon, and I totally get it. At the same time, I also understand the readiness and preparedness of the military and how important that is. So, is it the right hill to die on? I'm not here to decide that. I'm just trying to give you some context as to why he's on CNN talking about the military. So he gets to talking about the military, and Caitlin Collins then drops some of the semantics on him, and the language games being played, I think, are fascinating from the sides of your tear it all down lefties who are inserting this sort of language into the conversation, and then there's Caitlin Collins, who if I were to guess, I don't know. We're not friends. I don't talk to her. I have no idea what she actually thinks. But I would be willing to bet that she's just using the terminology of the day without kind of understanding the implications of it. In other words, I don't know that she actually has malice in the sense of confusing language. And I think she's just kind of in this media bubble that's kind of circulating around her and using the terminology there. Anyways, I'll stop talking. This is a rather longish clip, but this whole idea of words is important, and we need to be talking about it more. Check it out.
Conservatives, Democrats, whoever wants to be in the military to fight for this country, to protect this country. That's what it's all about.
But just to be clear, you agree that white nationalists should not be serving in the U.S. military. Is that what you're saying?
If people think that a white nationalist is a racist, I agree with that. I agree they should.
A white nationalist is someone who believes that the white race is superior to other races.
Well, that's some people's opinion. And I don't think,
That's
I mean,
not
a lot.
opinion.
Pardon?
What's your opinion?
My opinion of a white nationalist, if somebody wants to call them white nationalists, to me is an American. It's an American. Now, if that white nationalist is a racist, I'm totally against anything that they want to do, because I am 110% against racism. But I want somebody that's in our military, that's strong, that believes in this country, that's an American, that will fight along anybody, whether it's a man or woman, black or white, red, it doesn't make any difference. And so I'm totally against identity politics. I think it's ruining this country, and I think that Democrats ought to be ashamed for how they're doing this, because it's dividing this country and it's making this country weaker every day.
But that's not identity politics. You said a white nationalist is an American.
It is identity politics.
You said a white nationalist is an American, but a white nationalist is someone who believes horrific things. Do you really think that's someone who should be serving in the military?
Well, that's just a name that has been given. I mean,
it's not.
Listen,
It's a real definition. There's real concerns
so if
about
you're going to do away
extremism.
with most white people in this country out of the military, we got huge problems.
It's not.
We
It's
got
not.
huge problems.
It's not people who are white. It's white nationalists.
That have a few probably
You see the
different
distinction,
beliefs.
right?
That have different beliefs. Now, if racism is one of those beliefs, I'm totally against it. I am totally against racism.
But that
there's
is
a lot
that
of
is a
people
white
that
a
believe
white
in different
nationalist
things.
is racist, Senator.
Well, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. But if
not
it's
an opinion.
racism, I'm totally against it. I am totally against any type of race, or any type of racism. I don't care what it's in.
Okay, Senator Tommy Tuberville.
Freaking fascinating. Again, like I said at the beginning, I don't know that Caitlin Collins knows what she's saying, right? If we're going to break things down by what the words that make up the phrase that is now the boogeyman phrase are, then Tommy Tuberville is right in saying if somebody is white and a nationalist, that doesn't make them a bad person. You have subscribed this weird thinking of what that actually means, but just from a definition standpoint, doesn't mean it doesn't, because someone is white and someone is a nationalist, it doesn't make it bad. I've heard this new term floating around. Actually, I had a friend send this to me yesterday. He sent a reel about Christian nationalists, and I refuse to look up what the furthest of the left thinks that definition means. Right? I identify as a Christian person and I identify as a nationalist person. I'm not a globalist by any stretch of the imagination. So by definition, I guess, if you're looking at those two words and what they mean, I'm a Christian and I'm a nationalist. But for some reason, when you put the two words together, the definition changes entirely, I think, in the same way that Caitlin Collins is trying to change the definition of a white person who is a nationalist. Now, in the comment section here, I'm reading right there, there's a bunch of people that are saying she's trying to conflate nationalism with supremacy. Yeah, white supremacy is its whole different thing. But she used the definition of white supremacy to describe white nationalists. Now, again, I don't know that she knows what she's doing. And that's not to say that Caitlin's dumb. It's to say that the words being circulated around her head constantly in the bubble that is the DNC media are using those words. And I think Tommy did a pretty good job at saying, whoa, this is your definition. I don't have to play by your definition's rules. If you say coffee cups are being used to, I don't know, murder people by drone strike, and you call a coffee cup a missile, that's what you call a missile, you say it's a coffee cup, I guess you can say that we need to eliminate coffee cups, but I'm gonna be like, no, this is fine. There's nothing wrong with this. But if you contort the definition to make something in your own mind that doesn't mean what those two words actually mean, why then are people forced, except in this case, forced to defend against the definition that you prescribed to that group of words? Does that make sense? Tommy says, look, if somebody is white and somebody's a nationalist, yeah, they should have every right to serve in the military. What is that a question? And then Caitlin says, no, that's people who think that the white race is superior. Like, what? You and the bunch of the hyper lefty just made that up. And we're all supposed to defend that sort of thing? That's ridiculous. Again, the same kind of thing is going around with this whole like Christian nationalism thing. I maintain that I refuse to look up or educate myself on what lefties actually think that means. If you would like to have a discussion, not you in particular, but especially the people that are so fiercely adamant in the comment section of my Instagram, if any of them would like to have a conversation about the ideals of varying people, fine. I'm all open to it. I am all about that sort of conversation. But to then use those, to take those ideals that you think are bad and then put a word to that and then make me defend that word is what are we doing here? Right? Like, what are we doing here? But such is the American politics, American political system at the moment. You've got a bunch of people making up words and then prescribing definitions to those words and then making you defend those words based on their definition of it. I would say don't do it. I think Tommy did a pretty decent job. And I would caution a bunch of my friends on the lefty side of the aisle, especially in the media scope, don't just parrot those words pretending like the definition is adhered to by everyone. Because you need accuracy when it comes to verbiage. And if we don't have it and it's being taken down and destroyed by people who wish to destroy the country for the sake of rebuilding it, that's going to be a problem. Anyways, probably ranted on that for far too long. It's interesting seeing, and I don't particularly care. This is not like a complaint or anything, but it's interesting to see the numbers fall off. Like at the beginning of this, we've lost about half of the audience, which is fine. Fine. If it's not compelling, it's not compelling. But I do think that this is highly important when it comes to the political discussion. Speaking of the political discussion and how we view people and things and everyone, this is Senator Chuck Schumer. Now, I'll have you know that Chuck Schumer, senator from New York, D, does not believe what he's saying here. This is a fascinating clip. And again, I think all of this is fascinating because what we're really judging is the acting skills of a sitting U.S. senator. Probably a decade ago at this point, one of my friends, Brian, said that politics and entertainment are the same thing. They are literally intertwined. And I kind of didn't quite understand that. And over the years, I have learned that yes, politics and entertainment are the same thing. Watch a sitting U.S. senator say things that he does not believe in order to coax his side. He doesn't believe in it because they're not true. The reason he doesn't believe them is because they're not true. And then coax his side into trying to believe those things that he himself does not believe. Watch this.
Sadly, Americans' faith in the judiciary is at an all-time low after the extreme MAGA right captured the Supreme Court. In the last few weeks, this MAGA majority on the court has gutted affirmative action, blocked student debt relief for millions of Americans, and greenlit discrimination against the LGBTQ community. What we're seeing at the Supreme Court is a sickening hypocrisy, as some justices feel free to accept lavish gifts and vacations from billionaire friends. Congress has clear authority to oversee the federal judiciary, and that includes making sure that the highest court in the land is held to equally high ethical standards.
Just so we're clear, none of that is true. The overwhelming majority of that is just factually wrong. We've discussed the Supreme Court decisions, the affirmative action stuff, discriminating against the LGBTQ2 plus whatever community is almost comical. So we don't need to get into that again. I can't explain everything every single time, but the whole idea that the Supreme Court and the justice system, people are losing faith in it. In a lot of ways, the reason that they're losing faith in it is because people like that guy are saying things that they don't believe to an audience that they hope believes the things that they don't believe themselves. Chuck Schumer does not believe in any way, shape, or form that the President of the United States could just wave a magical wand and then spend $4 trillion, $400 billion, whatever it was for the student loan nonsense. He doesn't actually believe that. He also doesn't believe that the Supreme Court is MAGA extremists doing all of these things. What else did he say in there? There was something else that I thought was kind of interesting. The bottom line is he doesn't believe any of this stuff, and yet he's trying to pass along that everybody should buy into it on his side of the aisle. Next is a clip of him talking about a new piece of legislation and how he categorizes it. I think should go first, and then we'll tell you what it actually is. Republicans in the House are trying to pass election integrity, which seems like a pretty good idea, but watch how Chuck describes it in this next clip. Watch this.
A sweeping bill that one lawmaker called, quote, the most substantive and conservative election integrity legislation that will come before the House in over a generation. Let me say it again. The most substantive and conservative election integrity legislation that will come before the House in over a generation. Democrats here in the Senate will never allow such a terrible proposal to become law.
Such a terrible proposal, election integrity and all of that stuff. Let me read to you what's happening. This is from NBC News, not a right-wing news outlet. It says this. In terms of the election law that's being passed through, we're skipping down a couple paragraphs here. The House Administrative Committee, which has jurisdiction over federal elections, chose Atlanta as a backdrop to introduce the bill known as the American Confidence in Elections Act, or the ACE Act. I hate that everything has to have a floofy name to it. The committee chose Atlanta as a nod to Georgia's 2021 voting law, which added additional ID requirements for mail-in ballots, limited ballot drop boxes, and barred people from taking food or water. And barred people from taking food and water to voters waiting in lines. I hadn't read that line yet, among other changes. But the whole idea that you can't take food or water to people voting, standing in lines, is the dumbest possible thing. Just in case, just very quickly to lay that out and calmly, because this thing makes me so freaking irritated. No. You can't bring anything to anybody standing in line. You can't wear anybody's election anything while standing in line to vote, lest you convince other people or sway other people or intimidate other people voting in line. If you show up to a polling place, and I'm just using this example to be fair, because clearly this is a thing that shouldn't happen on both sides. If you show up to a polling place wearing a big old MAGA hat and a t-shirt that says vote Trump, you will be asked to leave. Or at least you should be asked to leave. If you show up to the polling place wearing a big AOC mask and a big Democrats are trying to save America, Republicans are trying to kill Americans, you will be asked to leave. Why will you be asked to leave? Because that's electioneering. That's been illegal since the mob tried to do it in New York, successfully did it in New York, however many decades ago that was. Union bosses would go through and try and intimidate people in line into voting ways that they wanted them to go. So, in the other side of it, trying to coax people to vote a certain way by possibly, I don't know, handing out hot dogs. I guarantee you, if you were allowed, just by the way, that's not just illegal in Georgia, that's illegal everywhere. If you were allowed to go hand out food in lines, you don't think AOC would be making a big old Instagram live /reel/post of her handing out pizza to people in line waiting to vote? Get out of here. You just can't do that. So the fact that it's listed in this NBC article is freaking stupid. Here's what the bill would actually do. The GOP bill would make certain federal changes to assist states with election administration, including mandating the Department of Homeland Security and Social Security Office give states access to voter data free of charge so they could remove non-citizens and dead people from voter rolls. Oh, so people who shouldn't vote and are dead should not be allowed to participate in the elections? There's a that's just such a novel idea. Jim Crow on steroids, as Joe Biden would call it, or the most. Did Chuck Schumer say it was racist? I don't think he did. The bill would also reform the Real ID Act to require people's citizenship status be printed on identification documents like driver's licenses for the purpose of checking citizenship status at the polls. Again, confirming that you are allowed to vote in this country should not be a partisan issue. The bill also seeks to remove incentives for states that allow non-citizens to vote in local and state elections by reducing the eligibility for grants under the Help America Vote Act. The bottom line is the bill that's going through the House of Representatives right now, that's controlled by the GOP, seems to be, again, thoroughly reasonable. In that same article, it says, yet critics say that this will disproportionately affect minority voters, in which I say, do you know what you're saying if you say that? Do you know what you're saying if you say, well, this will affect showing an ID will affect minority voters? What you're saying effectively is those brown people and black people are too darn stupid to get a voting ID. An identification piece in order to vote. Those people are so dumb that they can't do it. How racist does that sound? Yet there are still people saying things like that and being taken seriously by your lefty media. Wow. And some of the people in the comment section, also not cool. We'll skip by some of those. Actually, I'm going to delete that comment. That's not cool, man. And that guy probably agrees with me politically. Anyways, the whole idea of that this is the most reprehensible bill is hilarious, Mr. Schumer. Moving on to this, and to close out the show here, I want to play this fun clip. I want to say this is from Atlanta, Georgia. Anyways, tough guy, no match for a nail salon. I want you to watch this video. I think it's hilarious. Let me just play the video and we'll discuss on the other side. Check it out.
Everybody get down! Give me all your money! Inspect the pockets! Give me all your money! Get down! Where's the money? Give me the money! Where's the money? Everybody give me everything! Where's the money? Give me your money.
So if you're just listening to this and you didn't see what happened there, this guy walks into a nail salon with a handbag, supposedly with a gun in the handbag, and says, everybody give me all your money, everybody get down. And literally nobody even acknowledges that he is there. Look, there's one lady that gets up and walks out, which I don't blame her at all. But the several other people sitting in the chairs are like, go away, dude. And the owner takes a phone call. Supposedly he's being robbed at gunpoint, and he's like, hello, hold on, give me a second. What do you want? This dude is just, and nothing happens. He just leaves. Now, he broke the law, in my opinion. He probably intentionally didn't touch anybody and probably didn't even have a gun in the purse. But I commented on this video. My friend Mike the Cop posted it, and I said, this dude is lucky no one was packing, man. That sort of stuff, like that sort of stuff will get you killed if you do stuff like that. And if you're willing to take the risk of getting shot, like this guy apparently is, then this is a pretty meager attempt at stealing things. Again, this is not condoning his actions in any way, shape, or form. I think he should still be arrested and tried for a crime of attempted robbery. And also, it's very funny that nobody took him seriously. And he's lucky to be alive, in my opinion. especially in Georgia. I think you can do. I think in California and like New York, you can just do this. Not if I'm in the building, but you can just do this. But if this was like in Texas, I think one, this guy wouldn't have been stupid enough to try that, and two, he might have been voting Democrat, if you know what I mean. Less alive. That'll do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. Those of you in the comment section that have like offshoot tangential arguments, I don't get it, but you do you. The comment section has been such a weird place, especially in like the last couple months. It's just been like an odd place to be, especially on my Instagram account. There's something that's like people just going back and forth, and I get lost in the arguments. I don't even look at them anymore. But I don't know. Comment sections are such a weird addition to the social and cultural discourse that I don't think will actually make any difference. But anyways. That'll do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. If you haven't already, give me check it out. Just Jobob. Give me a follow on any of your social media accounts. You can find me Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Getter, Twitter, Threads now, I guess. But all of the social media platforms. Really appreciate you doing that. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. I don't know if there's any stuff to catch you up on that. Well, see you tomorrow. God bless America. Go get a burger.